If you're a beginner who wants to play in Dungeons & Dragons or any other tabletop role-playing game, but it seems like there's a lot of options and it can be a little overwhelming, I can help. Now this isn't going to go into super specific mechanics, because that can be very different from game to game. I just want to get you started so it feels a little less daunting. When it comes to any game, I like to set up a set of go-tos. In this case, a combat go-to, a roleplay go-to, and an out-of-character go-to. Let's start with combat, if your system has combat. So there can be a lot of pressure to do something fresh and exciting every turn, because we hear a lot about people's sick moves, like someone using their bag of holding or their immovable rod in wild ways. But those moments are admired for a reason. They're rare. Most people aren't doing something super inventive every single turn. That'd be extremely difficult and way too high of a bar for you to set for yourself as a beginner. So figure out your go-to move. You can call it your signature move if you want. Maybe you love casting Firebolt. Maybe you take big rage-filled swings with your greatsword. Whatever it is, let that be your primary weapon. It's okay if you use it every single turn when you can't think of something else. If you're in a heated moment and the pressure is on, go to your go-to move. It can make combat feel much less overwhelming, allowing yourself to have that routine. So then when you're waiting for your next turn, you can look over your spells or abilities in comfort, because you might find something cool and inventive to do, but even if you don't, you know you always have something to fall back on. And if your system doesn't have combat, but has mechanical abilities that you can use more than once, pick one of those as your go-to move. So then if all else fails, you can always go to that. Your roleplay go-to. My favorite tool for this is, what does your character want? Give your character something to strive for, something they want and that can't be achieved easily. Standard ones are, I want to be a hero, or I want to be revered as the most powerful in all the land, or I want revenge on Marion for destroying my home. This want is your go-to roleplay weapon. Just like how we had a go-to for combat. If you don't know what to do in a roleplay moment, go to your want. Say it's, I want to be revered as the most powerful in all the land. You decide what that means. Is it strength? Is it spell power? Is it influence and status? I'm gonna pick spell power this time for the sake of these examples. When the game starts, we immediately have opportunities. Say the DM wants us to meet at a festival. With this want, we can direct our character towards something specific. Where might Bane be at the festival? He wants to be revered as the most powerful spellcaster in all the land. So if there's a test of strength, accuracy, or something like that, he'd be there. Yeah, there's probably an archery range. What do you want to do? I'd like to walk up, say, no bow for me, and shoot a firebolt at the target. And here we've set a precedent. We've established our character's want to the table, to the other players, and we can continue to go after this desire in each scenario. Like when the attack comes, the crowd is panicking. What do you do, Bane? Bane is going to channel his energies, going after the strongest foe in a show of might. But even when things aren't as hectic, when you have downtime, you can ask yourself, if I want to be seen as the strongest mage, what would I be doing right now? Depending on the nature of magic, maybe he studies, maybe he meditates, maybe he goes somewhere to shoot spells at empty beer bottles. But regardless of what you choose, the point is that the want gives you focus, so you have options that are directed. And whenever you're not sure what to do, try to think, what would serve my character's want? Or even, how could I interpret this hook to serve my character's want? Now let's go to your out-of-character go-to. What? Out of character? What do you mean? So sure, we're playing a role-playing game, where we get to be incredible heroes, terrifying villains, tragic protagonists, etc., etc. But in spite of all that, we're still ourselves too. With everything we do to immerse ourselves, sometimes we need to step out of character to prevent possible problems from happening. So keep this phrase in your back pocket. Hey, can I do this? And add whatever you wanted to do. This is invaluable for asking the GM if you want to try something. If you've got an idea that seems a little out there. Like if you wanted to attempt to push the bandit into an open barrel. Or if you wanted to convince the shopkeeper for a better price. This serves to let them know what your goal is first. And maybe they'll let you try it, or maybe they won't. Regardless, giving the objective up front allows them to process it. And they might even give you the path to get there. As far as roles and stuff go, just be ready in case they say no, because that's okay. No's not the end of the world. In fact, no is good, because it allows you to gain info on what this NPC is like, or it allows you to know what this GM is okay or not okay with, so you can pick up on their style. This also applies to interactions with other players and their characters. If you want to do something that involves them, you ask first. The classic example is tossing someone. If you want to throw someone across a gap, Don't just do it. They might have had another plan. Even if they didn't, don't take that agency away from them. You wouldn't want to suddenly be thrown into a pile of enemies when you planned on throwing down that cauldron of oil, would you? So a little, hey, I have an idea, but I wanted to ask you if you were up for it, can go a long way. So there are many things you can add to make the role-playing experience a little bit better as a beginner. But I wanted to make it more simple, easy, less overwhelming for you. Because there's so much freedom in role-playing that you can often get hit by choice paralysis. But if you use your go-tos, when it comes to combat or mechanical abilities, roleplay, and also out-of-character interaction, it might make things just a little bit easier. If that helped, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And if there's anything you want more clarification on, please ask. I'm more than happy to help. But until next time, stay safe and take care.